Vietnamese, Chinese, Canadian, and I want to honor that heritage of where I'm from and where my parents are from, but also the heritage of this place and the people that have been taking care of this land for long before myself and my immigrant parents came here. So I want to start by acknowledging Pro Salish people, our allies who have been standing and defending this land for far longer than we have. And I just wanted to share, I guess, my story and how I came to be in that room yesterday on behalf of the Simon Fraser Student Society, sharing our opposition and solidarity with so many of you and so many more that are not here today against this Kinder Morgan project. So 2 years ago, I was elected as the environmental representative for the Simon Fraser Student Society. And at that time, we knew that we had to get our voices heard, and we knew we had to bring youth together. But to our dismay, no one came and consulted us. No one ever asked our permission to put a pipeline or to expand the pipeline through SFE Mountain. And so we organized ourselves and we hosted a Kinder Morgan dialogue to bring together different voices from people with different views to share how they felt about the pipeline and whether they wanted it here. And what we heard was a resounding no. And so we applied to be part of the process, to be interveners with the National Energy Board, with the hope that they would actually listen, with the hope that they would be doing this in good faith. And over the course of this process, it's been disheartening, absolutely disheartening, to learn how this process is it's so invalid. There's so many pieces, both in terms of climate change and how that's being excluded, but all your voices, how this is not open to the public, that we're outside here, while the people that are making decisions about the communities that we live in are in there making that decision without listening to us. And while I think it's really important that we're here strongly saying no and reclaiming and giving ourselves a voice, because I realized yesterday, after walking out of that room, that yes, we were really lucky to be able to have our voices heard, but we have a voice, regardless of whether we're in there or out here. We have that power, and that's why you guys are here, and that's why it's so important that we are standing here together in solidarity, and that we keep reminding our government and the people that should be accountable to us, that we have the power and we have the final say. We give consent. And I think this community is clear here that we have not given consent. So I guess in closing, I think it's really important that we say no to these processes, but that we're also a movement about building yes, saying yes to a different future, that we're painting a picture of what we want to live, or how we want to live together in the future, and reinventing fraudulent processes. We're reinventing the communities that we want to be part of, renewable energy communities. I was in a talk a couple days ago with Chief Robert Joseph, someone who I admire very much, and he was talking about reconciliation and how we each have a role to play in reconciliation. And it's small acts of love that we give to each other and to this land that perpetuates reconciliation and helps build that future that we have together. And so I'm just really happy to be here and to look out at this crowd where I really feel that reconciliation is happening right now where we are. And so thank you, and keep doing what you're doing.
So just before I give a background of how I got into climate justice, we would first like to give a shout out to our fellow Burnaby High School students here. Thank you for coming to and being some Canadian club members. So my name is Bill Xu, my Chinese name is Xu Jingze, meaning to live peacefully by the water. I grew up in suburban Nanjing in China, a city that flourished because of the Yangtze River. Yet the river that gave the city life is now one of the most polluted rivers in the planet. I remember visiting rural China often in my childhood. I always loved running wild in the fields, hiking the neighboring mountains, examining all the critters that lived in the grasslands, and finally letting the light of the fireflies guide me home. Every other year when I went back to visit, I would see the pollution getting heavier and nature once again being sacrificed. The fields and the mountains that I used to play in became smog-filled concrete forests, and that's what sparked my passion for climate justice.
Hi, my name is Tweed, and along with many of you, my passion for environmentalism comes from a deep love of this BC coast. Whether it's the rainforests, the mountains, or the waters. My childhood in exploring the environment has really made me who I am. And once I heard about and started noticing personally the irreversible changes in weather, biodiversity, and most viscerally, the destruction of habitat, I knew that something had to be done. Since then, I've been active in the fight against fossil fuels, the tar sands, pipelines, and for climate justice.
Posting this message to Prime Minister Trudeau, also known as the Minister of Youth. In early November last year, you declared yourself as the Minister of Youth, demonstrating a commitment to supporting and raising the voices of youth from across the country.
We made it very clear that we want a carbon-free future and a change in tone in government. We made it clear that we want a new type of politics, where promises are kept and change is delivered.
Right.
That's why we're so disappointed in your decision to continue with the process of the hearings of the Kinder Morgan pipeline. Because that not only shows a lack of dedication to the wishes of youth, but also our future. We fear that the place that we call home, the campus of a major British Columbian university, will be put at stake for the sake of greed.
I remember I would often come up to visit the mountains with friends and family to look at the stars in the summertime. I would always be amazed at how peaceful it is up there and just how much we can learn from nature. They say that nature is the best classroom, so please don't take our classroom away from us. Our generation and the generations to come need to be nurtured in this precious classroom, home, and playground.
At the Global Climate March, over 30 Burnaby students march in the streets of downtown Vancouver to demand climate justice. We've also partnered up with SFU 350 to get SFU to divest from fossil fuels. Because if they want to protect and build the future, they cannot have investments in the fossil fuel industry.
Yeah, and as we mentioned earlier, we are both leaders of many environmental clubs and organizations in our schools, and we've noticed a drastic change in tone with the students and the club members, because in the years before we've always done recycling campaigns and fundraising, and now it's recently been changed into activism and participating in marches and rallies, which we think is something that's so powerful and that we hold so dearly to our hearts.
We realize that if we want a future, we're going to have to fight for it.
And when it comes to climate change, I always like to think, what kind of legacy do we want to leave behind? And I hope that legacy you're leaving behind has nothing to do with pipelines and oil spills.
We hope, Justin Trudeau, that you'll remember the promises you made at COP21. We hope that you still remember the promises that you made to fellow youth and Canadians all across this country. Let's work together to protect this land for generations to come. We'll leave you with one quote from the esteemed author and activist Naomi Klein.
Oh yeah.
One way or another, everything is going to change. And for a brief time, the nature of that change is still up to us. Thank you.
We'll see ya.
Thank you. Give you hope for the future.